The president will make a significant announcement, I think, in the State of the Union next week with respect to the status of the caliphate, the real estate, the grounds from which ISIS had been operating in Syria when this administration came in.
Very interesting comment. Mike Pompeo with Sean Hannity last night giving a suggestion as to what the president may say next Tuesday in his State of the Union address. Homeland Security Committee Chair Senator Ron Johnson also serves on the Foreign Relations Committee. Sir, good morning to you. I thought that was interesting. Just back to Pompeo a moment for the end of that comment, and listen carefully here. Watch.
We also know that in spite of the enormous progress we've made and the success that we've had, that the threat from radical Islamic terrorism is real. And we need to continue to do all that we can to make sure that there's not a resurgence of ISIS or that all the other variants of that terror regime continue to be under pressure. This administration's committed to that.
Okay, I sense some wiggle room. Do you sense a change in the battle over ISIS in Syria based on that comment about resurgence?
Well, I certainly hope that this administration will base its Syrian policy on conditions on the ground. We met with the co-chairperson, Ms. Ahmed, of the Syrian Defense Council, and they represent about 4 million Syrians. This is the group of Kurds, about 2.5 million Kurds, about 1.5 million Christians. These are the people that were our allies that did most of the fighting, or a lot of the fighting, that defeated ISIS and took away most of their caliphate territory. But they're fully aware of the fact that there are pockets of sleeper cells of ISIS, and they just view it as crucial that America maintain a presence. Our presence alone, even if we're not all that engaged in fighting, but just are there for support and intelligence, air support, that type of thing, is just crucial to maintaining stability for those 4 million Syrians that are just trying to lead a more peaceful, democratic life.
So let's see what the headline is Tuesday night. Maybe we get more clues before then, okay? Senator, on the intel leaders who are on the Hill this week, they seem to express concerns about North Korea and Iran in ways that we have not heard from the commander-in-chief. Chuck Schumer jumped all over this. He tweeted this. He said it's past time for U.S. Intelligence Committee leaders to stage an intervention with real Donald Trump. The president fired back on that. On Twitter, the president said the intelligence people seem to be extremely passive and naive, he wrote. When it comes to the dangers of Iran, they are wrong. It continued, perhaps intelligence should go back to school. Explain the disconnect here.
Well, Bill, I came into public life after more than 30 years in the private sector. And even though I was very well read, followed world and national events, when you come into public life and you face all these issues, particularly in foreign policy where every country is steeped in history and tradition, there's an awful lot to learn. You have a steep learning curve. And so I've certainly relied on my staff and briefings from experts throughout the administration and throughout government to bring me up to speed. And that would be my recommendation for anybody, particularly coming from the private sector, recognizing the fact that there's an awful lot to learn, an awful lot of complexity, and you have to rely on the advice and the judgment and the wisdom and just the experience of people who've been in these positions for decades, the real experts. That being said, people from the outside bring a completely different perspective. You can get kind of caught up in the same old way of doing things. And so I think it's also valuable to have people from the private sector. People bring a different perspective, but you have to be knowledgeable.
Commander-in-Chief has made it, going back to the campaign, the point that he believes that the past leaders have gotten us into messes that we have not been able to get out of.
Well, to a certain extent, that's true. We do make mistakes. We're not perfect, but I think America is a phenomenal force for good in the world. We do need to lead. When we aren't leading, the world experiences voids and vacuums that are filled by very unsavory characters. Most of the nations in the world, even if they don't declare it publicly, really do want American leadership because they see what happens in our absence. Okay. So again, from my standpoint, I think America is a phenomenal force for good in the world, and we have to lead. We have to be present.
I should have said the Trump tweet came before the Schumer tweet, so flip those around. On the wall, Lindsey Graham was saying the wall is going to get done last night with Sean Hannity yet again. And following that, here's the latest tweet from the president on the wall. Let's call them walls from now on and stop playing political games. A wall is a wall. What clues are you now getting? That's the wrong tweet, guys, but a wall is the one there. What clues are you getting from inside these negotiations as to whether or not there was progress from the outset starting yesterday?
Well, all I can say is I think pretty uniformly in the Republican conference, we don't want to see another shutdown. And we really don't want to see the president use his emergency power. So we hope the conferees can come to some accommodation, satisfies everybody, so we can move beyond, this current debate. Listen, I completely agree with the president. We need better barriers. They work. Where we have them in 4 sectors, illegal immigration has declined by 90 to 95%. But we need so much more. We have laws and legal loopholes that are incentivizing these children and family units to take a very dangerous journey, endangering their life, to come to this country illegally. And it's an exploding problem. It's a growing problem. So Democrats who minimize that are being completely disingenuous. And of course, they've also supported barriers in the past.
Are they going to give him part of what he wants? Yes or no?
I hope so, because they've supported in the past. They're being completely hypocritical not to provide funding for better barriers. But we also need technology, but we also have to change these very broken laws.
Senator, thank you for your time. Ron Johnson, the Republican of Wisconsin, thank you.